Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jerry Fetta. We're back again with another episode of Mini Mogul Monday with Sammy. What's up, Sammy?
What's up?
So, guys, we're going to be covering today a very special book that we're going to go over. Sammy, we want to introduce what the book is?
Yeah, The Way to Happiness.
The Way to Happiness. So this is a book that we produced with The Way to Happiness International. This is written by L. Ron Hubbard, but we have a copy of this that's branded for Wealth Dynamics. It's got my face on it because it's such an important book. And the precepts in it really are incredible. So we're going to kind of talk today about a few of those. So Sammy, you said you've gone through this book like 6 times before.
Yep.
That's awesome. So there's a lot of precepts in here. Like, what are some of your favorite ones particularly?
Well, let's see. Safeguard and improve your environment.
Awesome.
Flourish and prosper.
That's a good one.
And set a good example.
Set a good example. And this has, I think, in total, 21 different precepts. And basically, like, when followed, these are things that create happiness. So, Sammy, this is one that I think I read for the first time a couple years ago. I've read it a bunch as well. But I wish I would have had this as a kid. Can you talk to us about, like, as a kid, like, you know, you have the 3 precepts you like, but, like, what are some ways this has helped you?
Well, following those things does make you happier and help you in life. And so it's good to also read it when you're a kid, like I am right now. So you also can have a happier childhood.
So let's talk about the first one you mentioned, safeguard and improve your environment. So what does that mean to you as Sammy, and what does that look like? Like, what are some things you've been able to do that have actually helped you do that in your own life?
Okay, so safeguard and improve environment. What it basically means is help the environment around you. See, like, for example, you see some guy drawing on the wall, doing something that's not good for the environment, then do something about it. Stand up, stop it.
Right. And that's like, you know, you were like picking up trash too. That would be another way, right?
Yes. So another way to also help the safeguard and improve your environment, to follow that rule, is to, like, decrease pollution. And that's exactly what I did like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. I decided to go outside near my house and just, like, every pollution I see, get it inside a trash bag.
Nice. Did anyone tell you to do that?
No.
That's cool.
That was just my decision.
So how much trash? Like, let's talk about, like, was it like a couple bags, 1 bag? Like, how much trash was there?
About 3 bags full, or 4. And guess what? I also influenced someone else. One of my neighborhood friends came over and decided to help me.
That's awesome. Now, we could safeguard the environment by, like, cleaning up the trash, and then we could also safeguard it by not putting trash in the water in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good one. And then you mentioned another one you said you liked.
Yes, set a good example.
Okay. And what are some examples of setting a good example that a kid can do?
Well, for example, if you're outside, like at school, and let's say you saw some kid, he was messing around, doing completely not good things, that would not be setting a good example. So you would be setting a good example if you're working hard.
Right.
And that others will now do that, and it will make them more proud. They'll be starting to do the right decisions.
That's good. And as a kid, like, I know I had this when I was little. I was more likely to listen to an adult that was setting a good example than listening to one that wasn't. Like, if somebody was telling me, like, you know, you should do your chores, you know, and have a good attitude, but let's say that I saw them go to their job and they didn't like it and they had a bad attitude, it made me less likely to want to listen to them because I was like, you know, they're not really even doing the thing that they're telling me to do by setting a bad example. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, as a kid, what is it like to have an adult that sets a good example, and how much easier is it to listen and follow when that example is a good one rather than a bad one?
Well, another reason why you want to be a good example, you see, if you set a good example and you tell this to others, and they will start seeing you doing the good example, they will start doing it too and start feeling happy just like you.
Very good point.
But if you're not doing a good example, saying, like, for example, let's say, do not pollute the trash, and then 2 seconds later see him eating ice cream and throwing out the wrapper.
Not a great example.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned on the last one, which is my favorite precept, is called flourish and prosper. So what does that mean to you?
Well, to work hard and like get like stand out and work your hardest.
And what are some ways for you that you're able to do that? Like whether it's at home or school, like what are some examples for you of like when you're like, you're flourishing and prospering, which I think also sets a good example by flourishing and prospering.
So, flourish and prosper, like if you work hard and you graduate, like let's for example, very young, that's good. And maybe you make a business and you get very good at it and boom, that's very good.
Yeah.
Just do not let others block you.
Right. And I think that this is one that adults sometimes forget is to flourish and prosper. So like, as a kid, like you're saying it's important to flourish and prosper. And then I would say for adults too, like parents that are watching, flourishing and prospering is actually like an important thing to do. Like you're providing for your family, you're making sure you've got lots of, opportunities to go on trips and have fun experiences and those types of things. So I think that's such an important one. Now, there's a bunch of precepts in here. There's a challenge that I did one time, and it actually was a really good one that I want to give everyone here that's watching. So have you heard about the Way to Happiness Challenge?
No.
So the Way to Happiness Challenge, there's 21 precepts. And so basically every day, is it 20 or 21? I think there's 19, 20, 21. Yeah, 21 precepts. Every day you pick a precept, and you do that precept that day. And so for 21 days, you go through a challenge and you hit each precept. And what's really cool is I did this twice last year. Basically like you kind of figure out like which ones you're good at, but you also figure out which ones you're bad at. You're like, okay, yeah, this is the one where I really need to work on it. But what I'd like to do is let's go through just really quickly and we don't have to go over all the precepts, but let's hit what each precept is so people know the 21 precepts. And then if they want to get a copy of the book, you can reach out to us and you can grab a copy. You can start the precepts on your own. You can do the 21-day challenge. So the first one here is, you want to read the title of that one?
Happiness.
Happiness. So that's the first precept. So that would be one of the days on the challenge. Actually, happiness is overall. This is just the subject. So these all create happiness. So kind of every day when you do the precepts, you're doing happiness. But the first one is taking care of yourself.
Yes. So that one, take care of your body and you'll be much more happier. And yeah, just make sure you don't get ill as often.
Right. And then this next one is called be temperate. So don't take harmful drugs. Don't get, excess alcohol. Basically, not doing things that are going to be bad for your body from a standpoint of drugs and alcohol.
That also affect the mind.
And the mind too. And then what is this one?
Don't be
promiscuous.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wrongly.
So this one really is, being faithful to your partner. Obviously not being promiscuous. Staying with one person, being a good spouse, partner, husband, wife, whatever that might be. And then what number 4 here?
Love and help children.
Awesome. So that's one that you would do for an entire day. So you'd focus on how can you love and help children. Number 5 is honor and help your parents.
Yep.
And this one is interesting because it's not just for kids. Like this is not a book written for kids. So for adults, same thing as honor and help your parents. So as a kid, it's easy to think with that. As an adult, we still usually all have parents. It's good to call them, check in on them, that type of thing. And then number 6, this is your favorite?
One of my favorites.
One of your favorites.
Set a good example.
Good. And this one actually says influence can be good or it can be bad. So you're kind of always setting an example. That's where it specifies set a good example because there's never really a time where you're not an example. And then what about this one?
Seek to live with the truth.
And I love that one because there's so much like you've probably seen, even when we help people with finances, there's a lot of false things out there that people believe. So seeking to live with truth, like that means you're constantly looking for what's the right answers, which you're big on. You're always curious and wanting to learn, how does this work? How does that work?
Yeah.
All right, Sammy, this one we've talked about several times.
Do not murder.
Dun, dun, dun.
Except I do not murder.
Right. So for a whole day, try not to murder anyone. I know it can be hard sometimes. This is the next one.
Do not do anything illegal.
Awesome. This one is big. I mean, obviously, you want to work within the laws of the land and follow those. Number 10.
Support a government designed and run for all of the people.
Good. So we have governments, like you would focus an entire day on doing something to help support a government that's run and designed for all of the people.
Do not harm a person of goodwill.
So, this one is like public workers, opinion leaders, people in the private sector, nurses, firefighters. Like, there's certain people where they do what they do just because they care, right? Like, somebody that is, maybe they're a teacher. They don't make a lot of money. So they're not doing teaching because they're going to get rich. They're doing teaching because they really want to help. So it's important to like protect those people because they don't always have the resources that everyone else might have. Here's your next one that you like.
Safeguard and improve your environment.
Boom. So pick up trash. There's an app actually called Z-Loop. So Z-Loop is a way that you can do this. This is part of the Philanthro Investors portfolio of companies. But Z-Loop, you actually pick up trash and you can get paid for it. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So we have Z-Loop, which we should really download the app on your phone.
I could have been paid.
Yeah, you could have made some cash on that. So this is the next one.
Do not steal.
Okay.
Very important.
Very important. 14.
Be worthy of trust.
Be worthy of trust. And this actually says keep your word once given as one of the subpoints. So that's an easy way to be worthy of trust.
Fulfill your obligations.
Good. And this is not just financial obligations. So like a financial obligation, let's say you owe someone money, you should repay it, right? Another one would be like, let's say, you're best friends with someone and you kind of have an obligation to help them and they need help. Like that would be fulfilling the obligation. Or like kids and parents. Parents are obligated to care for kids. Kids are obligated to help their parents. That would be fulfilling an obligation.
Be industrious.
Be industrious. So this is about hard work, right? And this kind of ties in with what you said, Sammy, about set a good example and working hard. So not only set examples that are good, but this is an entire precept just on the benefit and value of working hard. This one?
Be competent.
Be competent.
Yeah, I said it wrong.
And this one is basically know what you're doing, know how things work, be smart, be intelligent with whatever you're working on. And this is broken down into look, learn, practice is another one. And I think this is one of the longest chapters in the book is be competent. So look, learn, and practice.
Respect the religious beliefs of others.
So we're big on this one, respecting the religious beliefs of others. And I think today is like, when I was a kid, it was very much, it was okay to make, snide remarks about other people's religions, believe it or not. This was just maybe 15 years ago. Like if someone thought differently than you did on the topic of religion, it was okay for people to judge that person. Isn't that weird? Yeah, and not a good thing. So respect the religious beliefs of others doesn't mean you need to believe what they believe, but it means like understand they have different beliefs and let them have those.
Try not to do things to others that you would not like them to do to you.
That's a very good one. And then this one is kind of the opposite but similar.
Try to treat others as you would want them to treat you.
Perfect. And then the final one here is
flourish and prosper.
Boom. So guys, those are the 21 precepts. This is the Way to Happiness book. Again, it's got my face. It's got the Wealth Dynamics brand on it. We did a campaign with Way to Happiness Foundation so we can get as many of these books out there as possible. So if you're interested in getting a copy, let us know. You can put that in the comments and just say Way to Happiness. And I want to hear from you. Did you do the 21-day challenge? Okay, this is a life-changing challenge. So do the challenge. I've done it. Sammy, we should do it sometime too. We could re-up a new challenge and then we could have other people do the challenge with us.
Yep. And I have 2 more things to say.
2 more things. Let's hear them.
First, fun fact of the day.
Let's get the fun fact out.
Okay, so did you know that astronauts, when they go into space, they grow 3 inches taller? It's the reason why, because there's no gravity to support their spine. So now their spine starts to shape a little different, and they grow 3 inches taller. And when they land back to Earth, they go back to normal. They're not 3 inches taller anymore because now there's gravity.
That's got to be weird on the body.
And then finally, one thing to say on flourish and prosper. Now, if you see someone, like, let's say, someone who's rich, and you're like, I can't do that. I'm not a hard worker. I'm not that. Look, you can. You can. All you have to do is put your mind to it. Like, for example, this. You may not think you can do this, but you can. Before I thought I could not do this. I thought, too hard. Look at me now. And I even have more. This, and this, and this, and this, and even more. You can do anything. as long as you put your mind to it.
And as Sammy, that's awesome. As Sammy made those, like that's a good example of some of the precepts, right? So Sammy, you had to study, so you were be competent, right? You were being industrious, right? So that's another one. I know that you did some of these for your mom, so that's honor and help your parents, flourish and prosper. You were not sexually promiscuous while you did them. You didn't murder anyone, so you kept those precepts in. So these are all good examples of using some of the precepts. And you probably felt happy when you made these too.
Yep.
So guys, you don't have to do origami. You could do origami. There's different ways to do it, but this is an awesome example. What is this one? This is a
crane.
A crane?
Now, also, that's a dinosaur. Now, one final thing, just to clear your mind. Now, crane, when you have that in your mind, you think those machine wrecking ones, right? Crane is another word for a bird. And
Boom.
yeah, this is a bird, so.
So guys, that's all we got for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.